Well, I'm delighted to be joined by Panthers' newest signing, Chase Pearson. Chase, welcome to Nottingham. Great to have you on board. I'm interrupting your walk, so thank you very much for this. Just tell me how excited and why you're coming to the Nottingham Panthers.
Well, first of all, Chris, thanks for having me on the show. I'm excited. Yeah. It's going to be a new experience for me to be able to get my education and play hockey at a high level. So checking two boxes, which is very neat.
Let's go back to the very start because I was doing a bit of research and you played under a former Panther. Old-time Panthers fans remember a player called Brad Patterson. You played him under him as a junior for Youngstown. What are your memories of playing under him and that start for you in junior hockey?
Yeah, Patty was huge in shaping my pro career too. He was a great coach. I loved his style, the way that he coached. He was a player's coach. Great human being too. So he was pretty influential in a lot of my game, especially at that level before I even went to college. Yeah, I just really like him as a human being and actually coach as well. So that was cool to have that connection. Yeah, we actually just talked about that before the phone call. I forgot that he had played in Nottingham, so it's pretty small world.
Yeah, it does show you how small world ice hockey is. Just before you went to the University of Maine, of course, you were drafted by the Red Wings. Just trying, I know it's coming kind of to put into words a big moment, but just how amazing was that to get drafted when you were still very young?
Yeah, it's a crazy experience. So the whole draft year leading up to it, I was playing in Youngstown, ended up going to the NHL Combine, all that stuff, played in some games or whatever, and yeah, I was fortunate enough to be drafted by the Red Wings, which was a very cool experience, heartwarming too, because it was my grandfather's favorite team. So that was really neat. And he was able to see me get drafted. So all of that combined and just the fact that I could say I was an NHL draft pick was a very humbling experience, but also cool.
Obviously, your dad had an extensive NHL career. Just how much of an influence has he been on you?
Yeah, huge. He got me into hockey. He coached me growing up, gave me lessons my whole life. Still watches and supports me. So I think without him, I wouldn't be in this position playing professionally in Europe, or I wouldn't even have the chance to play in the NHL.
Let's go on to the University of Maine. What was that like? Combining your studies and playing hockey. Obviously, it's kind of full circle because it sounds like that's what you're going to do next season. But what was it like at the University of Maine?
It's a great experience. I'd say it gave me the stepping stones and the tools I needed to transition to pro, but I met some of my best friends there. Had some great life experiences, learned a lot on and off the ice. Was coached by some amazing people. Yeah, I think most people go to college and they say, "Oh, it was the best time in your life." I think it was a great transition period for me, and I did learn a lot. And I also played a lot of hockey and took on a big role at the school, which was good for me and my development as a hockey player too.
Yeah, I noticed in the final 2 years you were captain. What was it like there, kind of balancing the responsibilities of school, but also the responsibilities of leading a hockey team?
Yeah, it was a unique experience being the sophomore captain. I was co-captain with another guy, Rob Michael, who was a junior at the time, but it was very cool experience. I think stepping into that leadership role as a younger guy was a bit of a transition. I did have a lot to learn, but it gave me a lot of confidence that the coaching staff saw that potential in me as a leader. So that was cool. And then obviously learned a lot and was able to, I think, help the team in a unique way as a younger captain.
You mentioned making friends, two guys that played on the same team there, Tim Doherty, Mitch Fossier, two big fan favourites after last season in Nottingham. Tell us about them at college and how much, knowing that they're here played a part in you coming here.
Yeah, I mean they're a huge reason that I did end up signing with Nottingham. Obviously, Mitch and Tim were in my class going into Maine, so I've known them for a long time. But we've shared a lot of experiences together. If you guys have all been to college, or if you haven't, then you still probably have some buddies from home who you are very good friends with. That's like type of relationship that we have, and it's a huge reason I did sign in Nottingham.
And then just before we move on to Europe, and I touched on your obviously, being in the draft with the Red Wings. You got those 3 games in 21, 22, and I'm sure we'll sit down and talk about this in more detail in the future. But just can you put into words what it was like to get those 3 games, 3 or 4 years ago?
Yeah, I mean, it's a childhood dream come true. You get the phone call and just your stomach drops. At least mine did. and get called up, and then it's a whirlwind experience actually playing against those guys. It's almost like you have a little bit of imposter syndrome at some points, right? You're just like, oh, do I belong here, right? And then yeah, you get out there and instinct takes over. But it was really surreal. It was an amazing experience, and I'm really fortunate to even have had that opportunity and can say forever that I did play in the NHL, which is not something a lot of people can say. So
Yeah, very true. And then after those years with Grand Rapids, you decided to move across to Europe a couple of years ago. What was your thinking behind that?
yeah, I think it was just the right time in my career. I think a lot of players go the same route where they give it a crack in North America, and then you kind of bide your time there. And if you don't make the NHL or solidify yourself really in that role, then you can either keep grinding in the American League and ECHL, or you can go to Europe, which is a whole new world and new experience of hockey. And I like unique and novel experiences. So I think I was ready to make the jump, and I decided that that was the right time.
And what about the difference in styles? Obviously, you've played in Slovakia now and Austria. What's it been like to adapt to the different styles of European leagues?
Yeah, it took me a little bit at the beginning, especially in Slovakia. The bigger ice obviously is something that took me a little bit to get used to. Different transition game. A lot of less physical, less dump and chase, more possession based. So it fit into my how I play actually. I'd say, I did transition pretty well coming over to Slovakia and Austria, but honestly I like it. If it surprised anyone, I do like that style of game. So it's cool.
And then just finally, really, on to Nottingham. I wonder what Tim and Mitch have told you about the fan base and the city. What do you know and what are you looking forward to?
Well, I mean, I talked to Mitch actually about it. He's like, it's one of the craziest atmospheres I've ever played in. He said the fan base was there the whole year supporting them. They showed up most games and were fanatic is how he described it. So that was another big reason he sold me. I want to play in a fun atmosphere. I want to play in front of a fan base that is passionate about the game and enjoys coming every night and supporting us.
Well, we can't wait to have you. And listen, thanks for joining us. I'll leave you to your walk. It looks a great day over there.
Yeah, it's beautiful. The Georgia trees and greenery is something I take for granted, but appreciate when I can.
Brilliant. Listen, we'll catch up with you soon. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Chris.